It may surprise or even shock you to hear what I'm about to say, but if you're seeing this video right now, it's no accident. Something in your life shifted recently. A decision, a conversation, or even a simple boundary you created that has already begun to shield you from unneeded burdens. You may not have even realized how powerful this choice was at the time, but the ripple effects are evident. Suddenly, the drama you once attracted seems distant. The people who drained you or the situations that tested your patience are losing their grit. This is the hallmark of a chosen one like yourself. You take one step in alignment with your higher self, and the universe responds by clearing obstacles you no longer need to face. If you feel the faint stir of excitement in your spirit, trust it. And if you're ready to continue on this path of transformation, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment 77 below to let the world know you're open to what comes next. Chapter 1. Acknowledging the shift. Every so often, life nudges us to make a change we can't quite articulate. Sometimes it's sudden, like deciding you'll no longer tolerate certain behaviors. Or it might be gradual, a slow realization that you deserve peace over chaos. For you, that nudge arrived recently in the form of a single moment or conversation. Perhaps you told someone no for the first time in ages. Maybe you chose to walk away from a tense environment that once felt impossible to leave. Or it could be that you finally let go of an unhealthy habit and replaced it with something nourishing. When such a shift happens, there's a quiet sense of relief that moves through your entire being. You might feel lighter in the morning or notice a new calmness in your interactions. It's subtle, but you recognize it, and yet you might not have connected it to that single decision you made. The mind often glosses over these turning points, especially when they don't come with dramatic fanfare. But the universe doesn't miss them. By realigning yourself with your higher values, you send out a signal that you're no longer willing to entertain what once weighed you down. People around you might sense this without fully knowing what happened. They might see you as more self-assured or notice that your voice carries more conviction. They might even test you to see if your change of heart is real or just a temporary phase. But your energy speaks for itself. You can't fake the kind of peace that comes from deciding to place your well-being over any lingering fears or doubts. This new boundary or action that you took is a sign of your evolving spirit, proof that you're stepping further into your role as a chosen one, guided by inner wisdom rather than external pressures. Sometimes you catch yourself wondering, how did I find the courage to do that? The answer is rooted in your soul's quiet guidance, a whisper you might have ignored in the past. Now you're paying attention. Once you've acknowledged this shift, even if it felt small in the moment, you start to see all the ways it unfolds. You begin to witness opportunities arising that align with your healthier mindset and negative influences fading into the background. It's as if one strong stand was all you needed to open the door to a life that's free from unnecessary pain. And that door, once cracked, only opens wider from here. Chapter 2. Identifying the old patterns. Before your recent decision, you might have found yourself in recurring situations that drained you more than they helped you grow. Could be a cycle of arguments with someone close to you, or a pattern of saying yes when you long to say no. It might even have been an internal cycle like self-criticism or procrastination that left you feeling stuck. In any case, these patterns became so familiar that they turned into a sort of comfort zone. Even though they were harming your spirit, you knew they weren't good for you, but they also felt oddly safe because they were predictable. This familiarity can be deceptive. On one hand, you realize that the situation or behavior is draining your energy. On the other, breaking free can seem daunting because you're used to the routine. Especially for a chosen one, stepping outside of a long-held pattern often involves challenging expectations, both yours and those of the people who've come to rely on you staying exactly where you are. It's as though the environment and the relationships within it are suddenly built around you never changing. The moment you start to shift, the structures around you feel it too. Identifying these old patterns is a critical step. You might start by noticing your emotional reactions. Perhaps you always felt anxious before certain interactions, or you leave a meeting with a particular person feeling drained. Over time, these clues add up, revealing the common thread. Something about that dynamic isn't in alignment with the person you're becoming. This awareness often stirs a quiet resolve. I can't keep doing this to myself, you tell yourself. From there, the desire to protect your peace grows stronger than the urge to maintain the status quo. You might have tried to fix or justify these patterns in the past, telling yourself things like, maybe I'm overreacting, or they'll change eventually. But a point comes when you realize that tolerating the unacceptable is the same as endorsing it. If your spirit is rebelling against a certain dynamic, it's for a reason. The cost, your emotional well-being, is simply too high. This marks the moment when you say enough and decide to do something about it. That something could have been as direct as cutting ties with a toxic individual, or as subtle as silently deciding to no longer engage in the same old conversation. Either way, your new stance puts you in a better place. By confronting the pattern, even if quietly, you cast a spotlight on it, and it loses its power. You look back and think, how did I ever put up with that for so long? The answer is simply that you hadn't fully awakened to your worth before. But now, having taken a stand, you see that the same patterns once haunting you no longer have a place in your life. Chapter 3. The moment you broke the cycle. Every significant change has a tipping point, an instant where theory becomes action, and you find yourself doing something different than you ever have before. For a chosen one, this moment feels almost electric. Your heart might race and your mind might debate every possible outcome, yet a deeper voice inside you says, go for it. It might have been when you calmly told someone, I won't tolerate that tone anymore, or when you walked away from a tense situation instead of trying to fix it. Whatever the situation, that decisive move snapped the old cycle like a worn-out thread. This moment usually comes after a slow build. You may have mulled over the decision for days, weeks, or even months, gathering little pieces of courage each time you felt mistreated or overlooked. Perhaps you replayed scenarios in your head, imagining how you'd respond differently if given the chance. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, the opportunity presented itself. A conversation, an encounter, a bit of conflict, and instead of reacting in your old way, you took a new stance. The immediate feeling might have been relief tinged with a bit of shock. It's akin to stepping off a familiar path and onto uncharted ground. Initially, you might worry if you made the right choice. Did you overreact? Will you hurt someone's feelings? But beneath that mild uncertainty lies a profound sense of liberation. You realize you're no longer bound by the old rules that used to govern your interactions. You've created a new set of terms, terms that honor your needs and respect your emotional space. In the days following, you likely noticed a shift in how people responded to you. Those who genuinely care about you might have expressed surprise, but also respect for your newfound resolve. Others, who thrived on your previous submission or compliance, might have become distant or critical. This contrast can be jarring, yet it also serves as a filter, revealing who is truly aligned with your growth and who was comfortable keeping you in a less empowered state. Though it might sting to see certain bonds dissolve, you also recognize that losing relationships based on unhealthy dynamics is actually a form of gain. You gain freedom, clarity, and room in your life for healthier connections. Once you break a cycle, going back feels unnatural. You catch yourself if old habits try to resurface. You might hear a voice in your head urging you to slip into old patterns just to keep the peace. But another stronger voice reminds you how liberating it was to stand in your truth. Each day it becomes easier to maintain this boundary until it feels entirely natural. This is the beauty of that decisive moment. It not only shatters the old cycle, but also cements a new level of self-respect. And from that heightened vantage point, you see more clearly how the universe responds to your determination by steering you away from unnecessary negativity. Chapter 4. When boundaries become your allies. Boundaries have a quiet power that many people underestimate. While the word might sound restrictive, the reality is quite the opposite. Boundaries create space for growth, serenity, and more authentic connections. For a chosen one, boundaries serve as a protective shield against energies and situations that no longer align with your higher path. They're not walls meant to isolate you. You probably noticed a major shift once you established or reinforced the key boundary recently. Maybe you decided to stop answering texts late at night from someone who only brought drama, or you chose to stand firm when someone tried to guilt trip you into doing something against your will. At first, this can feel uncomfortable, especially if you've lived most of your life accommodating others to keep the peace. People may question why you're suddenly being difficult or accuse you of changing. In truth, you are changing into a more self-aware and confident version of yourself, and that's not a bad thing. Once you stand by your boundary a few times, something remarkable happens. The negativity or conflict you expected doesn't come, or if it does, it dissolves quickly. Situations that used to drag on for hours in tension might now be resolved in minutes. Better yet, some conflicts never even get off the ground. The individuals who once tried to test you sense the futility of their old tactics. They either shift their behavior or remove themselves from your life entirely. It can feel like a miniature miracle each time you see your boundary repel negativity that once stuck to you like glue. Moreover, boundaries don't just protect you from others, they protect you from yourself as well. When you see trouble brewing, perhaps an overcommitment that could lead to burnout, or a conversation that starts to take a manipulative turn, you remind yourself of the lines you've drawn. You realize you no longer need to prove your worth by making everyone else comfortable. You've learned that your emotional health, mental clarity, and sense of personal integrity are just as important as being liked or praised. Another subtle benefit is how boundaries elevate the quality of your relationships. People who genuinely respect and care for you have no issue honoring your limits. They might be momentarily surprised by your assertiveness, but they adapt because they value you. Those who do take issue typically reveal that their connection with you was hinged on control or convenience. While it can be painful to acknowledge, letting these individuals drift away creates room for stronger, more genuine bonds. Through this practice of boundary setting, you gain a sense of peace that might feel new. It's as though you stepped into a sanctuary, your own sacred space. As a chosen one, that sanctuary is where your gifts flourish best. With negativity held at arm's length, your true purpose has the freedom to shine, and you become more available for the people and pursuits that truly matter. This sense of alignment is the real gift of boundaries, a testament to your inner fortitude and divine guidance. Chapter 5. Releasing the weight of others' expectations. Often, the source of unnecessary negative situations is not purely external. It's the weight of other people's expectations. As a chosen one, you might have found yourself trying to live up to standards that never truly resonated with your soul. Maybe your family expected you to follow a particular career path, or friends assumed you'd always be their go-to problem solver. After a while, these expectations become a silent script dictating how you spend your time and energy. The day you decided to deviate from that script, you open the door to real freedom. Releasing these expectations doesn't mean you stop caring about loved ones or disregarding their advice. It means you differentiate between what is healthy guidance and what is burdensome control. When you recognize this distinction, you likely felt a surge of relief. Suddenly, life wasn't about ticking boxes for others' approval. It was about listening to your own intuition. You realize that no matter how well-intentioned someone's suggestion might be, if it doesn't align with your path, it'll eventually create friction in your life. This step can be particularly challenging because it might invite pushback. Some people fear change, especially in those they've grown used to having in a certain role. They might try emotional appeals or guilt to pull you back into compliance. But once you see the toll that living under these expectations takes on your emotional and spiritual well-being, you find it easier to stand firm. You're no longer driven by the need to please. You're driven by a need to be true to your essence. Interestingly, when you finally break free, some of these very individuals might come to respect you more. They see that you're not acting out of rebellion, but out of an authentic sense of self-preservation and purpose. Others might drift away, finding comfort in someone else who's willing to play the role you once did. Though it can be bittersweet, this realignment leaves you with relationships built on mutual. Chapter 6. The new path that beckons respect rather than unspoken demands. When that weight lifted, you likely noticed how your overall perspective changed. Tasks that once felt like a chore might now feel rewarding if they aligned with your true intentions. Or you might find new interests you never had time for because you were too busy fulfilling obligations that weren't yours to carry. Each day becomes an opportunity to create a life that mirrors your inner truth. And as you expand into this authenticity, negativity finds fewer entry points in your life. The protective barrier you've built isn't solely about shutting things out. It's about cultivating a space where your real self can thrive without the interference of imposed expectations. Now that you've set boundaries and released burdensome expectations, a new path begins to unfold before you. It's like finally clearing the rubble from a blocked road and discovering a horizon you didn't even know was there. This path is not necessarily about dramatic outward change, though it can be, but more about a subtle yet profound shift in how you move through life. You notice opportunities you might have overlooked before, and you feel an inner permission to explore them. On this new path, your sense of self expands. You might find yourself drawn to creative pursuits, spiritual studies, or communities of people who resonate with your evolving perspective. There's an enthusiasm in your approach to each day, as if you're rediscovering parts of yourself that were hidden behind layers of compromise. The world didn't change overnight. You did. And that change makes all the difference in what you see and attract. One key feature of this new path is the sense of calm it brings. The old triggers that once caused you stress or anxiety seem less compelling now. You're more discerning about what you engage with. When negativity arises, you have a clearer sense of how to address it, or whether you even need to address it at all. Some battles simply aren't worth fighting anymore. This isn't laziness or indifference. It's wisdom. You know your energy is better spent on endeavors that contribute to your growth and well-being, rather than on petty conflicts or relentless attempts to fix what isn't yours to fix. People around you might comment on how relaxed or radiant you appear. Some might ask for advice, sensing a shift in your demeanor that they find compelling. As a chosen one, you recognize the gravity of guiding others, so you choose your words with care. You share from experience rather than judgment, knowing that each person must find their own way to break free from negativity. But your example alone can be a powerful catalyst, showing that real transformation is possible and doesn't require upheaval so much as consistent self-awareness. This new path doesn't promise a life free of challenges. You'll still face tests and unexpected twists. The difference is that you're now fortified by your recent decision to protect yourself from unnecessary drama. This has sharpened your instincts. You read situations more quickly, spot red flags sooner, and trust your intuition without second-guessing. And each time you successfully navigate a tricky spot, your confidence grows a little more. Over time, you realize that the key to a peaceful life isn't controlling the outside world. It's controlling how you let the outside world affect you. With that knowledge in hand, you journey forward, eager to see where this more enlightened stance will lead you next. Chapter 7. An Opening for Greater Purpose. Having come this far, you've cleared much of the negativity that once clouded your path. You've set boundaries, let go of draining expectations, and stepped into a more authentic way of living. Now an opening appears for a deeper sense of purpose to take root. Without the constant stress of petty dramas or unaligned obligations, you have the mental and emotional bandwidth to focus on what truly matters. That might be your career, your relationships, or your spiritual calling, perhaps all three. The important thing is that your life is more spacious now, making it easier to hear the voice of your innermost self. In this newly created space, inspiration arises. Ideas you once dismissed as daydreams could resurface with renewed viability. You might feel a tug to learn something new or to revisit a project that you once abandoned. And because you're no longer weighed down by external negativity, you have the clarity to ask, how can I serve? How can I contribute to the world in a meaningful way? Those questions hold their own kind of magic. They're the cause of a chosen one stepping boldly into a role that transcends personal gain and aims to uplift others. This shift isn't about immediate results. It's about nurturing the seeds of a larger vision that may take time to fully blossom. You might brainstorm or plan in ways you never dared to before. You might connect with mentors or soul-line friends who encourage your expanded aspirations. The synergy you experience in this state of possibility feels almost electric. Where you once felt alone or misunderstood, you now discover a community that reflects back to you the light you've nurtured within. Even as you plan and dream, remember that the protective measure you took recently is still at work. Each day it saves you from entanglements that used to derail you. You might occasionally catch wind of a conflict you narrowly avoided, or learn of a toxic environment you almost joined but didn't, thanks to your renewed discernment. These instances serve as gentle reminders that your decision wasn't just a lucky guess. It was a true step in alignment with your higher wisdom. The future is wide open, and that realization can feel both exhilarating and humbling. You understand that with freedom comes responsibility to maintain your clarity, to continue setting boundaries, and to be vigilant about any subtle attempts to pull you back into old habits. Yet this responsibility feels lighter than any weight you carried before, because it aligns with who you truly are now. You move forward, confident that your recent action or boundary has laid a foundation that won't just protect you from negativity, but will also guide you toward your higher destiny. This new perspective shapes each decision you make, radiating an energy that draws in like-minded souls and meaningful opportunities. The path ahead may not always be straightforward, but it is unquestionably yours, lit by the promise of deeper fulfillment and the certainty that you're here to share something special with the